Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about grain character and specifically on the Horween Dublin, but let's take a preview of some of the stuff that we're shipping out today that you'll see in the video. A black Dublin Fat Herbie, a 100% cobalt blue Dublin Giant of the Fox, an English Tan Dublin Bugs Moran, natural Chromexcel Giant of the Fox, a pair of black marbled Shell Cordovan Giant of the Foxes, a Color 8 marbled Shell Cordovan Tony the Ant, a Whiskey Shell Cordovan Key Fob, and a Whiskey Shell Cordovan Fat Herbie. I wanted to take a minute here, or a few minutes maybe, to talk about one of my favorite leathers, the Horween Dublin leather. And Dublin is a naturally finished aniline veg tan leather. And the black Dublin in particular is my favorite black leather around. For me, this is the only black leather that I've found that has any amount of natural character to it. So if you look very closely, you can see all the fine detail in the grain of the leather itself. And there's multiple textures that are happening here. There's some little wrinkles that are not textured in feel, but visual wrinkles, the ones that are sort of going this way. And then I also see very small hair holes. That's the grain. So those two things together are very nice natural grain character on the black Dublin. A lot of leathers that you'll see that are black are very heavily finished. So if you look at this Dublin, this is what makes it special, is we're not covering up any of that natural character with any solids, any paints at all. So it's just stain and wax on this Dublin, which is why we're able to see all that fine detail in the grain itself. If you look at other leathers, most leathers that are black in the world, they're very heavily finished. And you're filling in all of those natural bits of grain character with a paint. So at a certain point, it's almost more like the leather turns into plastic than a nice piece of leather, and I think it defeats the purpose. So let's take a closer look here at the Fat Herbie in the black Dublin. And I have a pair of them here because I wanted to show you a bit of the difference in grain character that we see. The one in my right hand here, this one has a little bit more of those striations, and this one here is a little bit flatter. We do see a little bit of those striations in the leather, but it's a little bit flatter in texture. I'll give you a look at these two side by side. And last week we had an event for the Fat Herbie. I really wanted to feature that wallet style, which is the first wallet I started making at Ashland. And I wanted to feature it because I think it's the best wallet around. If you carry your wallet in your back pocket like I do, I think you'll find the way that the Fat Herbie lays in your pocket will be flatter than any other wallet around. And the reason that this wallet lays flatter is because of its unique card layout. You can see those 4 card slots on the inside. They are not stacked out on top of each other like most wallets are. And because of that, the wallet actually lays thinner. So there's just more surface area to spread out all of the contents for everything you put in your wallet. So for me, the best back pocket wallet around in an amazing black leather. If you're into the stealthed out look of this black Dublin, I highly suggest it. We got black on the inside, black on the outside. All of the edges are also black. And even on the bill slot here, everything is black. And here's another very nice Dublin piece. This is a Giant of the Fox in 100% cobalt blue Dublin. And I really love this blue shade. It has a range of color from an aqua blue on the undertones to more of a navy on the surface. These two that I'm looking at here seem to have a little bit more of that lighter aqua shade to it. And check out the spine, where I flex and crease and mobilize those waxes. We're revealing a little bit more of the aqua tones from underneath. And this cobalt blue Dublin is the same leather tannage as the black Dublin we looked at a moment ago. It's a full grain leather and it's vegetable tanned. And let's break down those terms very quickly. Full grain means that we have not affected any of the grain on the surface here. And typically, if you apply a piece of sanding paper or buffing to the grain, that's a process that turns the leather from full grain to corrected grain. And vegetable tanned means that this leather was tanned using tree barks. So we're filling in the voids between all the fibers in this leather with little bits of wood. So the veg tan leather has a unique ability to develop a patina. It gets a little brighter and shinier over time. It tends to darken a bit in time. It also has a unique ability to mold around its contents. Let's give you a peek at the inside of this one. On the interior here, more cobalt blue Dublin. These are a little bit darker, and these are made on horse hides. And the horsehide leather, any horsehide grain, when it's a natural full grain leather, has a little bit more pronounced grain than I notice on the steer hides. It's just a little bit different. Take a look at this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it here, but on this pocket, it tends to be very grainy, just like that. And on the hide itself, it's kind of more random on the horse hides, more varied texture, which is why the horse hides on the interior of this wallet don't look all uniform. I think that's part of the charm. I think that's what makes it special. Let's take a look at one more Dublin piece here. This is an amazing color called English Tan Dublin, and I love it on all of the wallets. But I think this, for me, it reminds me of my favorite Shell Cordovan color, the Amaretto. So I tend to gravitate towards the English Tan. I've been wearing a watch band in this same leather as well as a wallet. And let me give you a look at my Johnny the Fox here to show you how it develops patina. It's darkened and developed a very bright, shiny luster now, especially where I've worn it. You can also see how the veg tan character in this Dublin is molding around the contents. I'll give you a peek at the inside here too. I'm really enjoying the English Tan Dublin. And on this Bugs Moran, you're going to get that same development of patina happen as I did on this Fox. A little bit brighter and shinier. We have all that natural grain character to go along with it. I really wanted to show you an opposing leather to the Dublin. Now this is it's now famous Horween Chromexcel leather. And you might be able to see the difference maybe immediately if you know what you're looking for here. The biggest difference is that the Chromexcel is very polished and smooth. So we're filling in the grain on the Chromexcel to make it a little flatter, more even, a little bit more sleek and shiny, which let me give you a side-by-side comparison here. See the difference in the texture and the grain itself? The Chromexcel is much flatter and polished, where the Dublin is a little bit more grainy, a little bit more character, a little bit less flat. So that's a big difference between the Dublin and the Chromexcel, because you also do get that incredible pull-up effect on the Chromexcel, which is what it's become famous for. Let's take a look at the inside of this Johnny the Fox. This is a mock horsehide interior. We also have that incredible grain character on the horsehides. It's much different than the steer hides, but you really have to know what you're looking for. If you're not looking carefully at the grain, you probably wouldn't notice a difference. But the horse hides tend to be much grainier, much more prominent and pronounced grain. And I have two black marbled Johnny the Foxes to show you. And the reason I have two to show you is because the character in each are completely random and unique. So take a look here. I love how this ranges from a darker forest green on this side to a little bit more of an orangey tan, and sort of all the colors in between. This other one looks a little bit more blue to me. Take a look at that. A little bit more blue in those greens, some orange here, and then a darker variant on the other side. I think the range of these colors are incredible. And these are the last two black marbled Shell Foxes that we have. So I'm sad to see them go. If you're into one of these and they're sold out, we can definitely have these made to order for you. In fact, anything that's sold out on the site, I can have made to order. So just send us a message, get a hold of me, and we'll set you up. And I have another marbled piece to show you. This is a Color 8 marbled Shell Cordovan Tony the Ant. And man, that's a really cool color. It has a nice range from the classic burgundy of the Color 8, sort of right here on this little stripe. And then it ranges down towards a little bit more of this orangey yellow tan that seems to be on the spine of this one. And I think that is a really cool, dramatic contrast. And all the colors in between are also very interesting. This one is fascinating to me because I'm noticing on the right side, it's a little bit more red, and on the left side, it's a little bit more yellow and brown. And I just think that's really cool. Let's take a look at the marbled shell on the inside. We have a little bit of the same story here. Where on the right side, it's more of a red shade, and on the left, it's a little bit more yellow. So again, the combination of the two and the random variation of all these, I think, is just really incredible. And here's a really rare shell color. This is a whiskey Shell Cordovan piece on our key fob, and I really like that, but I wanted to talk about the difference in character on the Shell Cordovan and the Chromexcel and the Dublin. I want to compare them because technically there is no grain at all on the Shell Cordovan. And that's because the shell is a subcutaneous membrane in the hind quarter of a horse. It's a little muscle that's underneath the skin that's this very dense fiber layer that we call the shell. And when you scrape down to it, it's sort of like digging for gold inside the skin itself. It's this really incredible and smooth, shiny membrane that takes 6 months to make. So it's very special, but there's technically no grain on here. So when somebody tells you that full grain leather or top grain leather is the best, that's sort of nonsense, because many people would say that Shell Cordovan is their favorite leather, but there's no grain at all. So something that bothers me very much are all the leather terminology, spin terms that people throw around, top grain, full grain, corrected grain, premium leather, or whatever, genuine leather. I think that's all nonsense. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, is whatever you think looks cool is what is good. So I like all of these leathers, and they're all different. I wouldn't necessarily say that the Shell is better than the Dublin, but let's compare these very quickly. Again, one more time, the very grainy Dublin, very much pronounced natural character, where on the Shell it's much more flat, smooth, shiny. And let's compare the Shell with the Chromexcel. Here's a piece of Chromexcel. They both are very polished and shiny, but the Chromexcel is just a little bit more texture to it, which I hope this translates properly on the video here. The Shell Cordovan is absolutely unique because it doesn't really fit into any categories as far as full grain or corrected grain or any of that stuff. It's sort of a unique, special thing, and the result of it is just a very bright, shiny, polished look without very much texture at all. But that's part of why it's special. So let me know if you have any questions about grain character. I think it's a tough challenge to show even in videos and photos. I think it's something more easily described in person. And when COVID's over, I think it might be fun to have an open workshop thing to show people the difference in these leathers in person. And I would love to sort of describe and present some of my knowledge to share that with the world, because that's part of the goal of Ashland, is to share all this beautiful leather with more people. So thanks for checking it out today. I'll be back again on Friday with some more stuff. And until then, I hope you have a good one.